Level 1, the street urchin. You cut purses for stale bread under the Ponte Vecchio. And in 15 years, the men who rule Italy will pay a year's wages just to learn your name or die in a church because they never did. You're 12, ribs like a birdcage, certain you're the best thief in Florence. You are not. You go for a fat merchant's purse in the Mercato Vecchio and fumble it into the gutter while grown men laugh. A man named Marcus, wearing a gray cloak, steps over the mess and flicks a clipped copper quattrino into the mud at your feet. "Pick it up," he says. "It's the most you'll ever be worth." You don't take the coin. You lift the knife off his own belt instead. He smiles like you passed a test you didn't know you were taking. Then a city guard closes in for the theft and folds, a blade in him you never saw. Marcus presses the bloody coin back into your palm. "Kings will whisper your name and forget his," he says. "The fallen legend, the ghost of the brotherhood, will wear your face, and the man who threw you a coin will kneel and beg for his life." You follow him into the dark under Santa Croce. You have no idea the first thing they teach you isn't how to kill. Level 2, the assassin initiate. The first thing they hand you underground isn't a blade. It's a wet rag and a body. The Brotherhood lives in the bone warren beneath the crypt of Santa Croce, 3 floors below the dead monks, and you are the lowest thing in it. Lower than the dead. You scrub blades other men have used. You haul water. And 2 nights a week you carry the ones who don't walk out. Nobody warns you that part. That the boy who cried over a starving dog under the bridge would be the one weighting corpses with broken roof tiles and a loop of old anchor chain and feeding them to the Arno at the hour before dawn. You do it because the alternative is the street, which already tried to kill you once. Every trade has an apprentice who does the part nobody else touches. Here, that's the bodies. The older men have strong opinions about how you carry them, the angle, the stones, the hour. Always opinions, never a free hand. Then one night, a body teaches you the trade. You're about to sink a man off the mudflats past the walls when your lamp catches a glint at his hand. A signet ring. A Medici cadet branch crest, small and gold and unmistakable. You almost drop him in with it still on. And your stomach turns over because you understand something all at once. The river doesn't erase a man. It hides him. A ring survives. A gold tooth survives. A crest survives to be fished out by a boatman and carried straight back to this crypt. So you stop hiding bodies and start destroying them. You spend a week learning what water gives back and what fire keeps. You pry the ring off and melt it to a shapeless bead over a candle. You take the gold tooth. You scatter what's left across 3/4 of the city. A bone here, a bone in a lime pit there. Nothing anyone could ever assemble into a person. You become very good, very fast, at making a man into someone who was never born. Marcus notices. Of course he notices. He notices everything. He comes down to the mudflats one dawn, watches you screen a man's ashes through a mesh like a miller sifting flour, and instead of the mockery you're braced for, he does something worse. "You've got the hands," he says. Most boys panic. You organize. Then he takes the hidden blade off his own forearm, the spring blade. Milanese work, the one that lives up a sleeve, and without opening the mechanism, he closes your fingers around it. It's heavier than it looks. Cold. Full of something. "Feel the weight," he says. "You'll know the day it becomes yours. You carry that weight home against your ribs. Not afraid, that's the part you can't say to anyone. You're afraid of how much you want to be trusted with it. There's an old assassin down there, half drowned in wine, who tells stories nobody asks for. One night he tells the one about the ghost. The Brotherhood has made 100 killers in 100 years, he says, swordsmen, poisoners, men who could scale a bell tower in the dark. But only once did it make a true fallen legend, a name that emptied an entire court in a single winter, a ghost the powerful still whisper about behind locked doors. And when the old man says it, Marcus isn't looking at the old man. Marcus is looking at you. You don't sleep that night either. You lie there with the cold weight of the blade and let yourself believe, just for a moment, that you might be the one thing your mother begged you to be. Good at something. Just one thing. Then Marcus comes down the stairs with a name, an address, and a reason. Level 3, the hidden blade adept. Marcus stands in the corner with his arms crossed, the way a riding master keeps one hand near a bridle he hopes he won't need. The man on the floor is a wool merchant off the Via dei Calzaioli who beats his apprentices bloody and owes the Brotherhood more than he can pay. No family who'll search, no friends who'll press. Marcus picked him on purpose. Easy. A nobody for your first time. He wanted it gentle for you, and that's almost the worst part. He was being kind. Your hands don't shake. You keep waiting for them to. You keep waiting for the boy who wept over a dog to stand up inside you and stop this. He doesn't come. There's just the weight of the blade exactly like Marcus promised, and a quiet you didn't know lived in you. Afterward, you're sick in the alley, on your knees in the dark. You already know you'd do it again tomorrow. That's the thing you can't scatter across 3/4 of the city. The thing that stays. So you learn the rest of it the way other men learn scripture. Obsessively. Alone. You learn which poisons kill in the room and which take 3 days, so you're praying at Mass in another city when a cardinal finally stops breathing. You learn that Cantarella, the powder the Borgias favor, leaves a man looking like he's simply tired of living. You learn which church bells are loud enough to swallow a scream the noon angelus over a crowded piazza will hide almost anything. You become the most boring man in Florence on purpose. You pray at the same pew at Orson Michael every dawn. You pay your rent early. You nod to the baker. The safest place in the world to hide a killer, it turns out, is behind a man who is always first to Mass. It works, which is its own kind of joke. Once, a stable boy sees you on a rooftop where you have no business being a witness who could sink you and the whole crypt with one word. You handle it, quiet and gentle, 3 streets from anywhere. And you notice something that unsettles you more than the killing does. Your hands were steadier that night than they've ever been on Marcus's work, because that one was yours, and protecting yourself steadies you in a way obeying him never has. Marcus keeps trophies: a ring, a molar, a torn button, a lock of hair lined up on a shelf like a miser counting coins. You take nothing. It bothers him more than it should. Take something, he says. One day you'll wake up and not remember you were ever anyone at all. The only thing you keep is the quattrino. One mark, an old condottiere with your blade already in him, doesn't curse you as he dies. He almost smiles. You're the one the elders warned of, he breathes. The fallen legend, come round again. You don't know what he means yet. Marcus, in the doorway, does. He says nothing. You get good. Too good. Marcus starts staying home. He hands you a name at dusk and goes to bed while you ride into the dark, and the apprentice does the master's work while the master sleeps easy. Neither of those ends well. One night, cleaning up after him, you catch yourself staring at the river and thinking, calm as anything. Someday it'll be you going into the water, Marcus. The thought arrives fully formed, almost comforting. You put it away ashamed. Then Marcus gets lazy. He does one of his own on a feast day, can't be troubled with the ride, and drops the body in a Venetian canal 20 minutes from where he did it. A boatman finds it by Friday. Level 4, the guild assassin. There's a pen sketch nailed to a post in the Piazza della Signoria. A man's face. Wrung nose, wrung jaw, eyes that aren't yours but aren't far off either. You buy your bread. You don't look twice enough men get caught looking twice. But your hand shakes on the walk home, and it isn't fear. It's grief. For the ordinary morning you used to have, before a stranger with a piece of charcoal started drawing your face. Her name is Vittoria. She comes up from Venice, for the Council of 10, and the Council does not send people who go home empty. She comes to the church above the crypt one slow morning. Polite. A writ of the Council folded in her glove. Asking after a man, a body pulled from a canal off the Giudecca. And Marcus, you have to hand it to him, Marcus is magnificent. He pours her wine. He walks her through the cloister. He stands her 10 feet from the ossuary door, talking funeral rites until her eyes glaze and she thanks him for his time. She leaves a token at the door. A warning, really. You're sick that night. Not from her, from how easy it was. The pressure changes after that, and it never changes back. You're a full guild assassin now, real contracts, political blood names with a wax seal and half the payment in advance. And you learn the ugliest secret of the trade. The killing is the easy part. It's the clients. Everyone wants it quiet, clean, made to look like an accident and somehow cheaper. A man will haggle over a murder like a bolt of wool, then act wounded when the bargain work gets him caught. You put belladonna in a corrupt cardinal's cup of sweet cypress wine at a banquet on the Rialto and are 3 streets away praying when he slumps into his soup. You garrote a condottiere with a lute string in his own tent outside Forlì and walk out through his sleeping guard. You put a crossbow bolt through a Venetian senator from a bell tower during the Ascension procession when every face in the city is turned up at the Doge. The purse gets heavier. The rooms get quieter. You are very good at a very bad trade, and the trade is good to you. Neither fact will save you. A brotherhood forger decides the council's bounty is worth more than his loyalty. You learn it a day before he can sell you. You handle it clean, 3 cities out, and the lead dies with him. And standing over him, you finally see the thing that was true the whole time. You don't need Marcus. He needs you. He needs your patience and your steady hands and your nose for the witness about to sink you both. He's the artist. You're the only reason the gallery hasn't burned to the ground. He feels it too. That's the dangerous part. A man like Marcus can smell it the moment his dog stops needing the leash. And here is what nobody tells you about being wanted. It doesn't feel like danger. It feels like exile. You can never again be no one. You can never sit at a tavern with your back to the door. Never be ordinary. And ordinary is the only thing you ever wanted. A workshop. A wife. A name nobody studies at the market. It's gone. You gave it away 1 coin at a time and never noticed the price. So when Marcus reaches up one evening not to the trophy shelf, but past it and takes down a torn scrap of paper with an address on it, you almost feel relieved. A woman, he says. A loose end from years back, don't overthink it. You take the blade. You have no idea you're riding toward the only good thing that will ever happen to you. Let me say one thing and then I will not bring it up again. A lot of you asked how I make this style of YouTube videos, so I gathered all my tactics for starting a channel like mine in this guide. If you want it, the link's below. Now let's get back to the video. Level 5, the Master Assassin. Day 3 outside her house on Murano and you know the whole routine. Lamp lit at the first bell. Gone to the furnaces by the second. Home by dusk with glass dust in her hair. That's what surveillance is. You turn a person into a schedule because a schedule is easier to end than a person. Her name is Lucia. A glassmaker's daughter, the old man 3 years dead. So she runs his bench herself, which women aren't supposed to do. Which tells you something before she's said a word. Then she does the thing that breaks it. She comes out at dusk with a chip dish and sets it at the bottom step, and a half-blind cat wins out of the shadows to eat. Around its neck is a collar you recognize, a household mark from a Venetian family the Brotherhood logged as dealt with a year ago. She's been feeding one of Marcus's mistakes this whole time and calling it a stray. You knock the next morning with a lie about a furnace debt. She looks at the lie. She looks at you. You're no debt collector, she says. You look like a man who hasn't slept in a year. Sit, eat. Not scared. Certain. She reads you in half a breath, the way you read a room for exits. The blade stays in your coat. It stays there the next night, when you come back without a lie and without a reason. It stays the night after that. She feeds you fava bean soup out of her father's chipped bowl and talks to you like you're a person the first to do that since your mother, over a plate of her scorched chestnut bread, begging you to be good at one thing. A real Brotherhood tale comes sniffing after her stray. You don't tell her. You just meet him first on the causeway in the fog, and you choose her over the creed without letting yourself call it that. You start wanting to be the man she thinks she's talking to, so you try to quit. The only way a coward knows how, slowly, with excuses. You tell Marcus there's heat, the council's sniffing, you need to go quiet. You dodge 2 contracts. You let yourself picture after. A workshop on Murano, her across the table, a name nobody hunts. And underneath that picture, quieter, another one. Marcus gone. Marcus ended by your hand. It used to shame you. Now it feels like a plan. You marry her in a chapel with 2 witnesses and no names in any book. By winter, there's a sun red-faced, furious with her eyes. For the first time in your life, you have everything to lose. The exact leash Marcus has waited all these years for you to grow. You go to him and offer the only thing you have. You'll take the cold contracts, the ones no one survives. You'll disappear. You'll eat every risk if he lets you walk. You almost feel free saying it. You ride home to Murano to tell her it's done. The door stands open. The furnace is cold. Her chair is pushed back from the bench like she stood up quickly. And Lucia isn't in any of it. Your blade, the one you never once used on her, lies clean on the floor by the door. The cradle in the corner is empty. Your son is gone too. You go to Marcus's rooms. The trophy shelf is lit by a single candle. And there, new at the end of the row, is a small pendant of Murano glass, blue as a flame's heart. Hers. He didn't kill her because she was a threat. He killed her because you went quiet. Because he wanted to remind his dog who holds the leash. You grew a heart, he says, without turning around. That's not a man. That's a target. You pick up the pendant. You finally understand what you're for. Level 6, the mentor. You bury her yourself, outside the walls, in the soft ground where you sank your very first body for the Brotherhood. It's the only graveyard you have. A river, a mesh screen, and now a woman who once asked if you'd eaten. Beside her, you dig a second, smaller grave for the son whose body you never found, the one you tell yourself the river took. You don't weep. You did that once, over a dying dog under a bridge, and grown men laughed at you for it. You have not wept since. You make a rule at the grave. Out loud, so it's real. You will take everything from Marcus, every ally, every partner, every hand that ever fed the crypt and looked away. But you will not touch his blood, not his people, not a child. That is the line, and it is the last clean thing you own. You don't know yet that a line is a fingerprint. You become a mentor to do it. You take an initiate of your own, a starving Florentine boy, a coin in the mud if you ever saw one, and you teach him Marcus's own lessons and aim every one of them back at Marcus. He's 14 and certain he already knows everything, which is the one thing about apprentices that never changes. You start with Dino. Dino forged blades for the Brotherhood for 30 years. Dino knew what the crypt was for, and Dino cashed the coin and asked nothing. Dino is not innocent. You give him belladonna in his evening cup of Trebbiano clean painless, over before the fear arrives. And standing over him, you decide the shape of all of it. Your kills will be the opposite of what Marcus did to Lucia. He made hers cruel. Yours will be mercy. It's the first real mistake. You just can't see it, because from the inside a code always looks like decency. You leave Dino where he'll be found. For years you made men vanish, now you want the message to travel. You want Marcus to hear the name and know. He knows. The moment Dino turns up, Marcus knows because only one man alive kills that clean the man he taught. He can't run to the council, his hands are blacker than yours. So he runs and burns his own people ahead of you. The hunter is the hunted now. You work down the list like a man who can't quit a trade. The poison seller on the Giudecca, the harbor master, the notary who forged the cremation writs, the cardinal who laundered the crypt's gold, one by one the same clean death. And every single time you spare someone, a sleeping wife, a child down the hole, a servant who saw nothing. You are a killer with a code and a pocket full of reasons to feel human, and you've stopped being able to hear how mad that sounds. You think it makes you a man. Vittoria thinks it makes you a signature, because she has stopped looking for a monster. Monsters are chaos, and this is method. This is a man with rules. She stops mapping the dead and starts mapping the living, the wives, the children, the servants this killer refuses to touch, and the pattern glows on her wall like a confession. He will end you, but he will not end anyone who didn't earn it. A conscience is a shape, and a shape can be predicted. You should feel something. You feel the list getting shorter. And Marcus, cornered, out of friends and out of moves, does the cruelest thing he has left. He sends the Council of 10 a message. No name, he doesn't need one. He gives them the killer with a conscience, the one who spares the children. He taught you where to draw that line. Now he hands it to the woman hunting you. Level 7, the Brotherhood leader. You didn't take the throne. You emptied every chair around it until only yours was left. You killed so many of the men above you that the survivors' assassins with nowhere left to stand drifted toward the last one holding a blade. They call you their leader now, which is, if you think about it, how most men get promoted. You just stop pretending the chairs emptied themselves. It feels like being handed the keys to a graveyard. You keep working the list. Each name a new kind of pressure, not just a higher one his money, then his allies, then his safe houses, then the last men who'd still hide him. The ring tightens around him one funeral at a time. Then comes the farm. Marcus's oldest partner, the one who was there at the very start, holes up in a villa in the Veneto. You get into position before dawn. And there's a lamp lit in a window that shouldn't be lit. A child's wooden horse dropped in the yard. His granddaughter, 10 maybe, staying the night, asleep with the lamp burning because she's afraid of the dark, and someone in that house loves her enough to leave it lit. You wait. You wait through sunrise, until the mother comes at mid-morning and takes the girl to a neighbor's. You lose 2 full days finding a window where that child is somewhere else. 2 days. You will not do to a child what was done to you under a bridge. You'd rather lose the 2 days. Your mercy is the slowest thing about you, and slow is exactly how they win. Vittoria uses those 2 days. She walks a magistrate of the council through your wall of the spared, the wives, the servants, the children left breathing, and she walks out with a warrant for a killer she can finally predict. She stops chasing your bodies. She starts sitting on Marcus's old properties, waiting to follow you home. You finish the partner clean and kind and ride off thinking you're winning, because the list is short now and Marcus is close. He is. And a cornered Marcus reaches for the last cruel thing in the room. In the Brotherhood's oldest ledger, bound in cracked leather, you find the name the elders have written beside your deeds. The ghost, the fallen legend. And under it, in a hand 100 years old, the same ending every time: how the ghost rises, and how the ghost falls, always by the one soft thing left in him. You are reading your own last page, and you cannot stop turning it. Then the weight of it lands all at once. Marcus is out of friends, out of moves, hiding in the one place you swore at a grave you would never go, behind the innocent. His own household, the people your rule protects. Your line has become his wall. The single decent thing left in you is the fortress he has chosen to stand behind. You get the address on a feast day. A rented villa on the mainland, past the lagoon, his name on none of the paper, his household inside. To reach him, you would have to walk through the exact people you promised the dead you would never touch. You would have to become the thing he made you, all the way down, with no line left at all. You sit your horse across the water, looking at the lit windows, and you decide you won't. You'll wait him out, you'll take him clean, and you'll leave that house with everyone in it still breathing except the one man who earned the grave. You don't know Vittoria is already a half day behind you. Your mercy bought her the road. Level 8, the Grand Mentor. He sends them away himself. You watch the household file out at dusk, the women, the servants, a servant boy with a bundle, and you understand. Marcus knows you better than anyone alive. He knows you won't touch them. So he clears the house and leaves the door unlatched. Just the two of you, no one left to hide behind. He wants it clean too. In his own way, he's proud. You go in the way he taught you. Quiet, patient, no souvenirs. Through the kitchen, down a hall where the lagoon throws gray light across the ceiling, into a room where he waits in a chair, a cup of wine at his elbow, wearing the same rub-bare velvet doublet dyed the color of dried blood that he's had since before you could hold a knife. His trophies are laid out in a row: a milk tooth on a bit of red thread, a saint's medal worn faceless. Lucia's blue pendant sits on top, where he set it so it would be the first thing you see. "There he is," he says. "Like you're late for a shift." He tries the old scripts. "All of them. You wept over a dog, you grew a heart. Look at you now, nothing. I made every steady bone in your hand. You'd still be drowning bodies for coin if I hadn't reached into the gutter." Then he tells you the truth he's been holding for years, and the room tilts. Lucia was never a loose end. Lucia was the Council of Ten's eyes on the Brotherhood, Vittoria's own woman, set years ago to watch. That is why he sent you to end her. And when you spared her and wed her instead, you walked the Council's agents straight into the heart of the crypt. A whisper reached him that his prized apprentice had wed a Council spy. So he killed her under the creed, yes, but also to save your neck from the rope she'd have fitted it for by summer. And he let you believe it was the leash you went quiet. So I reminded my dog who holds it, because a grieving assassin is the deadliest weapon a master can forge. Every ally you erased, every chair you emptied, your whole climb to the top of a poisoned brotherhood. He aimed it. You were the fire he lit to burn out the rot, and you never once saw the hand on your back. You tell him he's lying. He sets one more thing on the table beside the pendant, the clipped quattrino from the mud, and a child's wooden horse. The child lived. Marcus took the infant the same night he took Lucia. He's been raising your blood in the crypt beneath Santa Croce, where he raised you. "You'll do to your own child what I did to you," he says, soft now, almost tender. "Or the Council takes it and raises it into the blade that ends us all. I made you Grand Mentor so you could make the next one. That's the only thing we've ever been. You look at the wooden horse for a long time. Then you use the belladonna. Clean, painless. Over before the fear can finish arriving. Not because he deserves it. He deserves the slow, cruel, lesson-teaching thing he did to her. You give him the opposite anyway, because the only revenge that ever mattered isn't that Marcus dies. It's that he dies better than he earned. By your rule, in your world. Put down gentle, like every creature he ever pretended to love. You set Lucia's pendant in his open hand and close his fingers around it, the way he once closed yours around the blade. For one breath, it is done. Then the window fills with light. Torches coming up the road, and behind them the gray cloaks of the Council of 10 you have spent your whole life never letting close. Vittoria. A half day ago, it was a half day. You could run. You know 4 ways out of this villa without looking, because casing the exits was the first thing he ever taught you. You don't move. You've been running since you were 12 and a coin landed in the mud. Level 9, the Fallen Legend. A cell under the lead roof of the Doge's palace. The Piombi. They call it the leads, where the summer heat presses down through the roof like a hand. There's a drain in the floor. You find that funny in a way you can't explain to anyone. You are the ghost the old drunk warned about, a lifetime ago. The Fallen Legend. And it turns out fallen was never the glorious part. Fallen means erased. They strike your name from the creed. You hear it from a guard who likes to talk. They write Marcus in as the great one, the master whose apprentice went mad. Every clean death you ever gave becomes his genius. Every name you emptied becomes his legend. You did all of it, and the story that survives belongs to him. Stories are easier to keep than men. That's the whole point of them. You don't argue. There's nothing to argue. You count instead the thing you were always good at. Dogs first, then bodies, then his friends off a list. There's one number you have never said out loud, not to the Inquisitor, not to the priest they send on Sundays. It isn't the count of the dead. It's the number of years until a child raised in a crypt is old enough to be sent for the man in this cell. You do the sum every night. You never say it. Vittoria comes once. She doesn't gloat, and somehow that's worse. She tells you the one thing you'll carry into every year of what's left. You had every exit, she says. You just couldn't stop being decent about it. And as she turns to go, you see the whole shape of it. She ran Lucia. And when Lucia fell for you and went quiet, Vittoria fed Marcus the proof of your marriage, knowing exactly what the old man would do with it. She burned her own agent to forge the weapon that would gut the Brotherhood from within. She hunted you across 15 years with the grief she built herself. Marcus was only ever the blade. She was always the hand. You kept nothing in the end. No pendant, no glass, just a heel of stale ship's biscuit the guards sell you at a markup they took the quattrino at the gate. You kept only the idea of it, the one clean mercy. You gave Marcus the gentle death he denied Lucia. That's the whole ledger, everything you ever were. One line that does not balance. You'll have the rest of your life to check the arithmetic. Somewhere in Florence tonight, under a bridge, a starving child is cutting purse strings and calling himself the best thief in the city. And a man in a fine cloak is watching that child's face, deciding. A man who learned every lesson at your feet, raising your own blood to finish what you started. You know exactly what he'll say. You know exactly what the child will do, because it's what you did, because it's what the coin in the mud was always for. And you can't warn him. The only man who'd believe a word of it is already in the cell. The cycle continues. If you like this story, subscribe for more.